Welcome back, Redzone In the Lab podcast. I am Deuce, and that's Redzone. That's RITL, also pronounced Riddle. And my Deuce, Deuce. And joining us today is the great Lake Lewis, NFL insider analyst, beat reporter, host of the Lake Lewis Show. We're going to talk some camp. We're going to talk some good bump yesterday. We got a little bit Terry news today. I don't know. Seems like everybody know a lot about nothing. On the other side of this, man, we got Lake in the building. I didn't make it true, playing by the rules. I come apart, but never cool. I didn't make it true, playing by the rules. I come apart, but never cool. Man, we've been waiting a long time for this, baby. Redzone In the Lab. Commanders. It's time. Let's get it, homie. Yo, what up? Welcome back to Redzone In the Lab. I have Lake Lewis joining us all the way up in New England. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just as I was saying, just had a chance to chill today, and I didn't even leave my hotel room, man. I needed this after the worst way after the last 2.5 weeks, man.
And like we're expecting for the season to go into February, right? Like, so wherever you can get that rest, definitely get that rest, right?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I didn't even look at the door. Matter of fact, I'm in my hotel right now. I literally put outside my door, do not disturb. I didn't even want maid service. Just leave me alone today. So yeah.
Before we go back to yesterday, Jeremy Fowler was on Get Up this morning, and he put it out there that there's a $7 million gap between the Commanders and Terry. And he said slightly above what he's making now. So I believe Terry's full cash value is around like 23. So slightly above that could be 24, 25. So you put 7 to 8 million, and that's like 32, 33. Where are you with this whole this contract dispute between the team? Like, do you think this information is, I don't want you to say somebody that's not giving out right information or whatever, but the team seems pretty tight-lipped on how they move.
Yeah, no, I said almost 2 months ago now that the number was you remember, I said the number was 32 to 34. That's the bare minimum. I said originally it might take 36 to 37, but I do know that 32 to 34 is the range. That's the sweet spot, and it's just no way Washington's going to pay that kind of money. They're just not. And Terry's folks are going to have to really decide: do you want to be here and play for a Super Bowl contender, and maybe Washington can come up to 30? Maybe they do that. I think they could do 28 for sure. I do know an offer was made that was supposedly around 27, so, and that's been reported out other places too. So, I mean, that's not good enough for Terry's folks right now. And this is starting to become an issue. It really is. I still think something's getting done. I mean, I'm pretty confident that a deal will get done. What that number is it's curious to all of us, because there is a gap right now as far as what Terry's folks want and what the team's willing to give up.
Do you think the relationship between the two is starting to take some bumps? Because, like, I mean, if we really think about it, I don't know how close Terry is with them. I mean, it's only been like a year or 2 years, and I think that's kind of like what we're kind of missing out of. Well, Terry has been through all of this, but he hasn't been through all of that with this regime. He's been actually on a cloud nine since this regime's been here.
Right, and this is a regime with a plan, so they're not coming in here with knee-jerk reactions over anything. But I can say this as a man, Terry admitted that he felt slighted and disrespected. Those are his words.
Yeah.
Well, his actions, as far as what he said, those things were generated towards the organization.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not his teammates, but to the front office. And so now, if you're Adam Peters and company, do you feel disrespected? So, of course, it's going to be a little bit of a fracture here, and you just don't want it to get to a point where money doesn't fix it, because people remember things, you know what I'm saying? And this is a different setup, and I understand the side of the fans that are like pro Terry. I totally get it. I truly get it.
Yeah.
But I'm also, like I said before, very much understanding the organization side of this too, because they're ahead of the curve. They're not a rebuild team. Like when they came in, people probably thought they're gonna have to go through a rebuild for a couple of years, because that's what the fans were always sold is the norm, and it wasn't. And they come in and get a superstar quarterback, and when you have one of those, the fortunes of your franchise turns instantly. And now you find yourself in an NFC Championship game, really devoid of a lot of skill.
Oh, we lost Lake for a second there. Or is it me? Might be me. I think we lost Lake for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, there we go.
Okay, there we go. I apologize. I had
something
coming through. Yeah, so yeah, we good, we good. So I'm not sure how much you heard, but I was just basically saying this team has a lot that's coming up here because they're so far ahead of the curve. They've got a lot of players they're gonna have to take care of over the next year or two. And then Jayden's eligible in 2 years, and that's huge, man. He's gonna have a record-breaking NFL contract, all-time contract. And clearly Adam Peters and them are accounting for that, So do you want to pay a guy that a new contract will kick in a year, which will make him, 31, and then he's going to play out the duration of his contract to be 32, 33 at wide receiver, and you've got this big fish that you've got to fry in number 5. It's a tough situation to be in if you're Adam Peters.
Yeah, I can imagine, and like this is like a lot of people, like we hear about Terry being Buddy's biggest client and the pressure there, but Adam Peters, regardless of how many of greats he was under, he's now at the helm now, and this is his first big contract with the dispute that he has to handle. So everyone is looking at this situation also. How much pressure do you think that is for him?
Oh, it's tremendous pressure. This is his first big time contract, that he's handling. And, he was able to turn the fortunes of this team around. So I think fans have to give him the benefit of that doubt, and let's face it, over the years, for a long time, some of these fans that are ready to throw Adam Peters out of town because he hasn't, got the contract with Terry taken care of. There's two perspectives that I keep coming with that I think sometimes Terry supporters think I'm dogging Terry. I'm not. I'm really not. I'm all for players getting their money. I've always been over the years. If you know anything about me, I'm cool with players, man. And I push the players' brands, so people can see them as men first. Players second. But with that said, Terry's still under contract, and it's just 1 year left. So it's not like Terry's breaking a huge, contract that still has 2, 3 years left. So I understand Terry's side. I really do. But again, I keep saying this isn't about a lifetime achievement award. It's not. Because if that was the case, Terry and several players on other teams would get rewarded for these things. And most of them are getting paid on projections. And I think that's the part that I think sometimes the fans aren't understanding. These receivers who are getting these monster contracts, these contracts, when they kick in, for a lot of these guys are still going to be in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
This is different and unique with Terry. He's never been a receiver to get this big time kind of contract going into the age he's going in. And that's the analytic side of Adam Peters and how they're doing business now. So for all those fans that were clamoring for years for competency in the front office, because there was no front office. Now there is a front office, a real GM. There's checks and balances in the building, and everything that they've touched has turned to gold. So this situation with Terry, it's a test, man. It's a power struggle in a lot of ways, because what Terry's doing is Washington. It is Redskin. Let's call it like it is. And what Adam is doing is the new commander's way, does he want to cave into his first big time dispute, regardless of who the player is? And we know Terry is the face of the franchise. Well, now you see two guys have a line in the sand. And I'm telling you, neither one of them is going to get their way in particular. They're going to have to get closer to that line with each other to get this done.
Yeah, at some point, they're going to have to humble themselves if they want to make this work. And somebody going to say, I really want this, but I'm willing to give you that if you're willing to give me this. Like, this is typical business. Like, this is how businesses should be. And I've always said, give me a GM that's willing to look the fan favorite best player in the eye and tell them this is going to be done our way, not your way. I'm not going to succumb to the fans' pressure.
That's what the good teams do, man. And the other thing about the really good teams that are always Super Bowl contenders, rather the Ravens or the Bills get to the Super Bowl, they're a contender every year.
Right.
And they're contenders because of their quarterbacks. And Kansas City is a champion all the time because of their quarterback. So you have to look at that. What's the thing that all those teams have in common? Do they have an alpha number one receiver? Probably not, right? So they've got some good ones. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disrespecting Zay Flowers and Rashard Bateman in Baltimore and Keon Coleman and Shakir up in New York with Buffalo, and then clearly in Kansas City they've got a Hall of Fame tight end. But my point is, when they had that elite receiver in Kansas City and Tyreek Hill, they hadn't done much. They trade him to Miami, and they've gone on and won several Super Bowls since. So I think Washington is in a unique situation where they don't just have a good quarterback. They have a league elite quarterback and a top 5 quarterback. And, how's it working out for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati? You sign all these receivers and you still don't make the playoffs. Regardless of what they're doing on their side of the ball, it's still a team sport at the end of the day. And that's why I think fans have to understand the side of Adam Peters on this as much as they understand Terry's side too.
Yeah. Let's go back to yesterday, the joint practice. Woo! Like you see, like one report from Patriots that have the D line look terrible, and in this report from here, the D line looked okay. So it's really perspective. What did you see? But let's start with the offense as a whole. What did the offense as a whole look like to you in 11 on 11s and 7 on 7?
I felt pretty good about what I saw from the offense. I mean, I think, okay, and once again, I love the fans, but I need for them to understand how these things work.
Yeah.
These joint practices aren't for them to get off the team bus and just go at it, and that's it. They're getting off the team bus with a choreographed plan on what they're going to work on in these practices. Normally, they're not working on everything they do great. They're working on the things that they need to put the work in on. And so for these joint practices, you can go around the league. You can look up any report from any other joint practices that are going on. Dallas and the Chargers were doing this. The offenses have been getting the better of the defenses in all these joint practices. And the reason for that is because you can't tee off on quarterbacks. You can't generate pass rushes. You just can't. And then if you did have a pass rush, which I saw several times yesterday, Andre Jones was in there several times. Javon Kinlaw was in there before. So guess what?
Okay.
Yeah, so guess what? The play still continued after they came around the edges. So quarterback steps up, still looks around for another 2 seconds, maybe 5 seconds later they're throwing the football. Yeah, so it's going to look like the offense is always getting the better of the defenses because they are. You're not hitting like that out there. New England's defense was getting moved on by Washington's offense, just as much as Washington's defense was getting moved by New England's offense themselves. But I will say this, individuals stood out, in these practices. Jayden Daniels was the best player on the field. I don't care what anybody says. It was, and I think I saw something today from some New England media saying the same thing. He was the best player on the field. Shame on New England media for saying, he was looking bad when it was when it was Josh Johnson. I'm like, man, I know we look alike to some people, but come on, man. That was terrible.
Yeah, it was horrible.
I mean, they do look similar at times, but come on, man. Wrong number, wrong everything. So yeah, Jayden looked good. He and Zach Ertz were still, eating underneath. It was just whenever they wanted that was there. Almost to the point where it was like, I'm sure Cliff was like, don't even go to Zach. Work some other people in. That's how comfortable they look. They look in midseason form, he and Zach. But some of the young guys, Ja'Cory Brooks had a really nice one-handed catch. Deebo Samuels had some plays, that he made. So the running game looked exceptionally well. Brian Robinson had a day. He looked really good. He was very decisive on his runs, even popped some to the outside, so he looked good. And then, of course, the tackles to me had the two best. Outside of Jayden, tackles had the two best days on offense, and that was Laremy Tunsil had the best day of anybody out there. He literally was. They probably should have had the cops nearby, man, to come out and arrest him because he was assaulting dudes out there. He really was. Driving guys after the play, driving them into the stands. I mean, he was everywhere. Had a hold called on him that was questionable. I mentioned it to him after practice yesterday, and he was like, look, they called it. I don't want to get into that, but clearly he was upset about it. And then look, Josh Conerly Jr. had a good day yesterday. To me, I would say out of everything I've seen from him all camp long, I think yesterday was his best day as a Commander. And the irony of that is what I've been trying to tell people who are reporting that he's struggling and he doesn't look good. And I'm like, he's a rookie in his first training camp, and he's lining up with, over top of him, Von Miller, a Hall of Famer who still can move, and Javon Kinlaw, one of the biggest humans you'll ever see, and Dorrance Armstrong and Dedrick Wise, wily veterans, man. Of course, he's not going to look like he's a Hall of Famer yet, but you know what? That work against those guys are going to make him better because come Sundays might be easy for the dude going up with what he's going up against. And here we go. We come up here, and what does he do? His first action against different guys, he more than held his own. He looked good, and some of the other players were talking about it too.
What? So let's look at Josh a little more, right? Because
Hmm. Hmm.
I understand that is just because you play left tackle, you can play right. Just because you play tackle, you can play guard. Like it doesn't work like that. Like right, the
No.
technique is different. I like what he did at the Senior Bowl, so I'm fairly confident he's able to make that switch. As far as you how and from OTAs to now, how do you see him processing switching from left tackle to right tackle against NFL players?
I mean, I think he's coming along well. You know, it's just they just had 2 weeks of camp. You know, they still have another 2 weeks left, and
Mm-hmm.
this, sharpen iron sharpens iron. You know, for him to be going up against the kind of guys he's going up against is only going to help him. And again, I think yesterday it was on display that sometimes those one-on-one matchups that he wasn't winning back in Ashburn helped him here in Foxborough a lot. And you could see afterwards he just was you could see his confidence was there, and he's a quiet kid, so his confidence looks a little different from, say, like somebody like Trey Amos, for instance. Josh is a quiet kid, man. He's very unassuming. He keeps his head down. Even when he talks to you, he has his head down. He's just it's almost like he's a shy person. That's just who he is. But on the field, there's a switch that he hits, and it's different. And they were trying to come at him early. They had a drill where all the offensive linemen line up against the defensive linemen, but only you and the guy across from you move. So it might be everybody stands there when they hike the ball. It's just like you and I go at it. That's it. And you could tell that, you know, they were trying to come at him, bull rush him, and things like that. You could hear the pads popping, and he was holding people up. He was sliding his feet, he was putting his hands on people, and you could just see, man, this is a big kid right now. But once he gets it, oh man, there's no question he's gonna be special. He's gonna be special. You can see it, and he's doing okay right now.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Um, when it comes to Johnny Newton,
Hmm.
we understand his. I had thought of something when you was talking. Have you
Yeah,
seen the
let's go.
clip? Have you seen the clip with Conerly playing basketball?
Of course, man.
You said,
And,
oh,
and
you
listen,
just,
I already look. His
oh
first
my
day,
goodness.
I asked him, did you hoop? Because so I go back to rookie minicamp. They had this drill where they had, oversized, almost like a medicine ball, oversized ball, that they had guys in their stance and they had to run and pick the ball up and keep running. And a lot of the linemen were fumbling the ball or they had to squat down. They couldn't do it. This joker, Josh Conerly, multiple times would get out of his stance, run full sprint, pick it up in one motion, and keep moving. And I told myself, oh yeah, he used to hoop. I'm a hooper. I played in college ball,
Okay, okay.
basketball, so
Oh,
I know. Yeah.
so look, shameless plug. September 6th, we're having a couple charity basketball games in DC by the Arboretum.
Okay.
September 6th, that Saturday. I'll send you the info if you wanna come by.
Yeah, I could
Um,
come by and watch because I'm retired
yeah, that's what I
officially.
said.
Because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, because I ruptured my Achilles hooping with RG3 a couple years back. So
Oh
nah, bro,
no. Oh
them days
no.
are over.
But yeah, I'll send you the invite if you want to stop by.
Absolutely. Let me know. I'll swing through if we don't have anything going on for sure.
Okay. All right. Cool. Um. Yeah. So I saw that clip. I was like, look at this guy can move. He can move. He's got great feet. So I'm very excited about him. But yeah, but that's what made me think about talking about Newton and feet, right? Because we understood
Oh yeah,
like
he's the best.
he wasn't right. He wasn't able to rehab and all that last year. But coming into this year, he has a new look. My question to you, Lake, is does he look stronger?
Absolutely. He looks
Okay.
stronger, is stronger. That's one thing you'll never ever hear any of us who cover the team say about this team this year. They all look in shape. They all look incredible. Guys are thinner, and I don't mean thinner like anorexic. I mean thinner like they've worked on their nutrition and their bodies have, like Brandon Coleman. You see guys like that, Johnny Newton. Hell, Sean Lattimore. You look at Sean, man, he's thinned down, so these guys took the off-season nutrition plan to another level. They look really good. But speaking of Johnny, Jerzon, man, he I'm expecting big things from this guy. He's one of those guys that needs to be on the field to let his motor keep going, get the reps in, and not be platooned so much. And I think they're going to let him do that this year. I think he's going to have an opportunity to make an impact. And if you think of the talent around him, just some of these guys are so large on this defensive line, they make him and Duran look like little boys, So I think Duran and I think Johnny are going to have really big years from them from the interior. I think they're going to be able to generate a pass rush from the interior, let alone, from the edges. So, yeah, he looks good, man. He really does.
Buddy of mine on here, Vito, after the Eagles game, he started calling Marshawn Lattimore Southeast Sean, right? And I listened to the clip from yesterday, which I think Donna
I'm standing right there.
right,
There.
yep. So like it's just amazing. But what's the difference between watching him when he's finally able to practice before the Saints game and those build-ups to watching him now?
Man, it's night and day, man. He shows no signs of any hamstring injury, and he doesn't take plays off. He's full throttle. That's just how he plays. When he got beat, yesterday in one of the drills, for a touchdown, it was just a hell of a throw and a hell of a catch. Sometimes you just got to chalk him up.
Yeah.
Um, but he was mad, and I mean like mad. And then here it is, a couple plays later, there come the hands, and it's just that's him, man. Yeah, look, listen, he was smiling after when we were talking to him afterwards. Donna Hopkins, the auntie, she asked him the question. I was right there with him and Candy, and he just had that little grin on his face, man. Like, y'all know what's up. You know what it is, and he actually
Yeah,
said, some
that's him
people.
right there.
Yeah, yeah. You hear some people say, he was just like, some people don't like the physical side, blah blah blah. But if you don't like that, then you picked the wrong sport to
Right.
play. He's just a physical dude, man. He's a scrappy guy. That's his whole style. His whole style is he wants to put hands on you, and you know he wants to get in your head. But they were chirping at him a lot yesterday,
Yeah.
trying to get him out of his game. And yeah, he does have to control the emotions, but that's how he plays. And Adam knew that when he went out and got him.
Yeah.
Listen, he'll
Yeah.
tell you he's a dog, man. Bottom line, he's a rabid dog. That's just his style. I'm all for it. I love it, man.
I love it. I love it. Um, and it's very good to hear that about Marshawn, because what this defense can be, especially just on paper and what we're seeing from Kent. Um, but some fans, like you hearing in the street, that Mikey is kind of struggling a little bit. It's like he's relearning the slap. But you're there. You're there more than a lot of those people.
It's
What
the
are you
furthest
saying?
thing from the truth, man. That's Mikey's had one of the better camps, all training camp. For
Yeah.
whoever said that, flat out lied to you. Um, Yesterday everybody was getting beat yesterday. I mean, Trey was getting beat at times, but then he made more plays than he gave up. That's what you
Yeah.
want from a rookie, right? Mikey had an interception yesterday. So like, what are we talking about here? Like, yeah, I think, I did, I try not to look at a lot of the negative comments on social media because it can engulf you real quick.
Hmm.
But sometimes, I'll read the comments to me or something like that, and I try to get back to people. But yesterday, man, it was almost like you would think, Armageddon had come. Like people were like, they looked terrible, they weren't any good. And I'm like, I was there, and I thought the offense played well. I thought the offensive line looked exceptionally well. Title B. Addish looked really good, and I'm like, if what are we doing here? So defensively, yeah, the defense struggled yesterday. If you just want to know flat out, they didn't do much. Um, but I go back to that thing we started the show with. these joint practices aren't set up for the defenses to stop people.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's almost like glorified 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s where you can't pop anybody, so you're going to give up plays in those situations. And that's why across the league, all of these offenses are torching people. I saw something today where they were talking about what team was it? They were talking about backup in LA was torching the Cowboys defense.
Oh yeah, the quarterback. Jimmy G.
Jimmy Garofalo. They were saying that Jimmy G was torching. Of course he was, man. I mean, let's put that in perspective. That's not a real Sunday right there now.
That's true.
It's really not. Trust me on that one. So you're going to see that across the league, and fans have to take it with a grain of salt.
When it comes to just like you said, like when you talk about like these joint practices and these preseason games, one of the things I always think about is like when you talk about these cornerbacks and you talk about these receivers and you talk about preseason games, what's more important for player evaluations? Is it the joint practices or is it the preseason games?
I think it depends. I think for the young guys, it's both because you just want to get as much film on them as you can and get them in game type situations. But the joint practices is just, again, I think the joint practices benefit the starters more than the young guys because we know come Friday, tomorrow when we're at the stadium, you're not going to see Jayden Daniels. You're not going to see Marcus Mariota. You're going to see Sam Hartman, and you're going to see Josh Johnson. You're going to see Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. You're going to see some of the young guys. I think you're going to see Josh Conerly. So the game is their first NFL game. Think about it for some of these rookies. Real-time game in a stadium. So they're going to be going up against guys that they wouldn't be going up against on Sundays either. So, it gives them a chance to get their feet under them, get, indoctrinated in their game time pads, everything, and go out and play a game and get some tape on them. So things that, they can correct. And see, that's where these coaches are right now. And at this time of year, it's not just go out and say, man, look at all the great things that he did, because that's what they're hoping they see. But it's going to be more like, well, your technique wasn't solid on this play, so let's work on that going forward. It's to be able to critique these guys in a positive manner. So I think for the young guys, the game is more important. I think for the starters and the guys that will be getting most of the reps on Sundays, I think the joint practices are bigger for them.
All right, let's get ready to get out of here, Lake. I do appreciate you. I got some rapid questions for you. Okay. I'm going to give you two players. You have to pick one that you will have with this team currently. So two players in their prime that you can pick one who you have on this team currently. You ready?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Let's start with the running backs. Steven Davis or Alfred Morris?
Ooh, that's a great question right there, man. I'm going to say because of the scheme and the style of play, I'm actually going to say Alfred Morris.
All right, okay.
And I'm a big Steven Davis fan, by the way.
Yeah, I love Steven Davis. I love Steven Davis. Now, this might make you turn to just throw your phone, right? It'll make you choose. Russ Grimm or Joe Jacoby?
I'm going to go Russ Grimm. And the reason for that is because you got Laremy, 5-time Pro Bowler. You know what he can do. And then you got Josh Conerly in the making on the right side, who's got a long, bright future. And in the trenches, you got Tyler Biadasz, who to me should be a Pro Bowl caliber center this year. But then we have, Big Sam Cosmi when he comes back, but he's not there right now. So I'll put Russ in that spot. And Brandon Coleman's on the other side.
All right. Here's the defense. Safety. Ken Houston or Sean Taylor?
Not even close. I mean, and I say that with all due respect to Ken Houston, because he was, I think, like a 7-time Pro Bowler. You know, he was Hall of Famer. He's legit. But Sean Taylor, man, Meast was hey, listen, man, was just a man beast. You know, he was. You know, it hurts, man. Even talking about him, rest in soul. You know, rest in paradise. But man, you know, you just think of what could have been. You know, just change the position. That's where he was going. A headbanger of a player and a guy that could run sideline to sideline, but a guy that was equally effective of not just intercepting balls or picking up fumbles, but returning them once he touched it, because he was an all-star, you know, running back, you know, in high school. So, yeah, I don't think we'll ever see the likes of Sean Taylor ever again.
36 or 21?
21.
Yeah.
36 looked like a linebacker, didn't
he? 8 or 24?
8 or 24. That's a good one right there, brother. 8. I
gotta go. 8 was just a different dude. Like he was
different, man.
He ain't care about nobody. 24 started caring about people.
Yeah, he did. He's getting older. You know what I mean? He had already got some championships by then, but that 8 was like he was ruthless, literally.
Yeah. I know somebody early in the comment asked, do you kind of remember who was the first 3 wide receivers and on 11 on 11 drills?
Yes, it was Debo. It was Debo. It was Jalen Lane, and it was Luke McCaffrey. Yeah.
Good. Got you. Thank you so much. Like, I know your time is very valuable for you to spend it with us. We absolutely appreciate it. Let everyone know, they probably already know, but just to face somebody just strolling by, let them know how they can follow all your content.
Sure. On social media, it's easy. You can follow me at Lake Lewis Jr. On all platforms. I try to keep it simple for everybody. And then as far as my show, it's the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. You can type that in. You can subscribe to it on all the podcast carriers. You can listen to it on Radio 1 in DC. And, you know, and then I also write for Heavy Sports, you know, so do some NFL coverage, Commanders coverage. I'm a NFL insider with CBS 6 TV in Richmond. You know, that's what you've been seeing with me holding the mic for them. And then, of course, I do stuff for ABC, you know, back in DC as well. So in September, I'll be on ESPN Radio, man. So it's a lot of stuff happening, brother. I'm excited about do some stuff with the league as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Proud of you. Thank you so much. And always being a support to us, right? We really appreciate all you've done and helping us with our platforms, providing yours. So salute to you, Lake. Everyone out there, remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love. I didn't make it true, playing by the rules.